feel like Jesse Ventura and
Predator.
Predator. Or... Hello pilots, welcome back to another assembly video here on Motion RC, and this time we're revisiting a classic. This is the MiG-21 80mm EDF from Freewing. So the purpose of this video, as with all assemblies, we will go through an unboxing, show you how everything comes out of the box. Then we'll run down the spec because this is the new high performance version of the MiG-21. And she also comes in 2 liveries, so you can get her like this or in basic silver. And then we will do a step-by-step assembly. So if you just bought your MiG and you're checking out this video, you can go right with me as we put it together. And then at the very end, we'll get her plugged in. We'll talk about the CG. We'll talk about everything on the features. And then we'll wrap this video up. So I say, let's get started with the unboxing. Guys, I'm so excited to unbox this. So upon opening up the box, you'll see everything is packaged really nicely. It's one of those 2 compartments, so things on the top, things on the inside. You'll get your manual in there, and that'll tell you a lot of what we're gonna say here. So definitely refer to that as you do this. But pulling things out, you get your carbon spar. You do get a baggie, which is gonna have some of your peripherals in it, things like that. Also your control rods and linkages, your glues. Then you're going to pull out this Go Get 'em wire. This is going to be important because this is going to help you pull the elevator leads and the rudder leads through the fuselage, so you want that. Now you get to the big parts. On the in this top section, you do have your 2 main wings. And taking a look at these, they're beautiful. If you do get the blue scheme like I have here, it's already going to be painted and decaled up. If you have a silver version, it's just going to come bare, well, painted silver, but no decals applied because that version does give you some decals for it. But looking around, you got nice ball links on your control horns already installed on there. You can see your flap servos in there and your aileron servo. Your landing gears already installed with the nice gear doors on them. And you can see the little ribbon connector because this is a very simple aircraft to remove. So it's just 2 screws to get the wings off, and this one little ribbon connection makes it really nice. So moving on, you're going to pull out your big vertical stabilizer comes out, and again, you're going to see your servo is already attached. Your control horn has a ball link on it already, again. And the nice plastic bits where that's going to meet the fuselage because this is just a screw together assembly. And what I really like on all your control surfaces, you're getting these nice hinges inside, buried in nylon hinges, you know, and foam hinges. Really gives it nice rigidity. So now taking off the top layer, we're going to go to the bottom layer, and coming out, you're going to get your 2 horizontal stabilizers. So 1 for each side, and as you could expect, the ball links already included. And then this MiG comes in a 2-piece fuselage. So you got the back end of your fuselage. On this end, you're going to see some wiring. So that's going to have your 2 elevators attached to it, as you can see. And they put a little nest of wiring in there. And then your main fuselage comes out. And she looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, just looking around, again, the finish on the foam is great. The panel lines are awesome. They have a little detail work on the cockpit. And then just taking a look inside when you open it up, nice plywood construction around the compartment. You can see that there's a MFB, a multifunction control board, if you will, one of the earlier versions, but works perfectly in this, the white version, right up front. So that's where your receiver and everything's going to mount, out of the way of the battery, the ESC, and everything like that, which I really love. And it's a very spacious compartment. I know a lot of guys for years fly this on anything from a 4,000 up to a 6, probably a 7,000 that are being made now. You're gonna have no problem with this MiG. So there you go, guys. That's all the pieces laid out on the table. She looks fantastic, and the beauty is there isn't too much work to put into getting her assembled. But before we start with the assembly, let's get over the spec. So now guys, again, this is the high performance version of the MiG-21. She is 31.5 inches wide, or 800mm in wingspan, but she is over 68 inches long, 1730mm long. So what's been updated is the ESC and the motor. So right away, this is now coming with an 80mm 12-bladed EDF unit. It is a 3658 1857 kV in-runner motor rather than the old outrunner. And that's going to be powered by a 100 amp ESC with a 5 amp UBEC, which is awesome. You have 8 servos throughout, so 2 for your aileron, 2 for your flaps, 2 for your elevators, 1 for your rudder, and 1 for your nose steering servo. So that'll do it for the spec. Now let's get to a step-by-step assembly. Alright guys, let's start with the assembly. So step 1, as you see in the book, and what I did, is you want to remove your battery tray, because that's where all the wiring coming from the back of the fuselage, your 2 elevator leads, your rudder leads, they're all going to eventually live under the battery tray. So now step 2 is going to be assembling your fuselage, because you have a back part and a front part. So there's a few steps here. First things first, you're going to unravel the 2 elevator leads that are attached to the back part of the fuselage, because we're going to now have to snake those through to the front. So you're going to use your go-get-em wire, and it doesn't matter what order you do, but before you do any glue here, make sure you route these through. So just put your go-get-em wire through the tail. There's a nice clear slot that you can see easily where it goes. Connect the 2 elevator servos and pull it through. You should have more than enough lead there to leave it in the front while you get ready now, prepared to glue the back part to the front part of the fuselage. Now, whenever you're gluing foam to foam, you're going to use the glue, the foam tack that's included. I use it for everything. It's awesome. But what you want to do is score the foam. So what I do is take the X-Acto knife, and I make a bunch of crisscrosses on all the parts where I see foam is going to meet foam. This helps with adhesion. This creates more surface area, allows the glue to have a better hold together, because you never want that to fail for any reason. So it's a good idea, a best practice to score it up. Then once you have it scored up on both sides, take one side. So in this case, I use the back part of the fuselage, and I just liberally applied the glue everywhere, every nook and cranny that I can get in there, get some glue on. And then when you press the back part of the fuselage in, here's where you need to then separate it. So you get the stringies. You want to allow some air into the mixture. It's going to help create better adhesion in the long run. Wait about 60 to 90 seconds. Then you're going to push the back part to the front part again. And here's where I like to step away for about 15 minutes, and I let gravity do the work. So I will balance my, my model on its nose, maybe on a piece of foam or something, and just allow gravity to make sure that that connection goes. It makes it easier than sitting there trying to hold it when it's horizontal. Best to do it vertical and walk away from it. And then we'll be ready for step 3. So now step 3, as per the book, is installing our main wing. So you see you get 2 carbon tubes, one larger and one smaller. One's 400 millimeters wide, one is 345 millimeters wide. Let's get those through the 2 pre-cut holes in the fuselage. And now the wing couldn't be easier to assemble. Basically, you just line up the 2 spars, and then you'll see the ribbon cable is tucked away nicely in the fuselage. Pull that out and make the connection to the wing. And then you just press the wing on nice and easy, nice and gentle, and it'll eventually be nice and flush. Then you're going to use these 2 3x6 screws that I'm pointing out here. These are the 4 screws for the main wing. They look different than any other screws in the bag, as with most Freewing jets. And just drive in all 4 screws. Do the same process for the other side. All right, so now the next step in the process, we're gonna do our horizontal stabilizers. So the horizontal stabilizers are already basically complete. You already have the elevators on the back part of the fuselage, so all you're doing, slide it in, and you're gonna use 2 of the 2x6x8 screws for each horizontal stab. So again, no glue on this process. You're just making 4 screws in, and you are good to go. Moving on to the next step is going to be our rudder, our vertical stabilizer. So now we want to go back and grab that go-get-em wire or the steel traction wire, because this is the last lead you're going to have to pull through the fuselage. So you can see your rudder servo lead is hanging on the bottom. Just unravel that, connect it, bring it through the same trough that you brought the elevator servos through. Then once that's done, just press your vertical stabilizer into the fuselage, and you'll see 4 screw holes, 2 on each side. So for this, you're going to use these 3x8 screws, which are here, and they have the flush heads on them. And you're going to drive all 4 screws in, and you are done with the vertical stabilizer. Alright guys, so now at this point in the process, you have a mostly completed MiG. The only thing we haven't done are any of the peripherals. I'll do that later. At this point, you want to get your aircraft bound up so then you can install all the control rods and linkages. So I'm using a 10-channel Admiral with a satellite in here, and I even put a gyro on. So I get that hooked up. Once I get the aircraft bound, then I can, again, all my servos, check that they're centered, and if they are, start installing the linkages and just go by the book. You can see there's a page in every Freewing manual that shows all the holes and the connections for your ailerons, your flaps, your elevator, and rudder. You know, it would just take too long in this video to do it all, but just make sure everything is lined up nice and even. So once you have that done, now you're virtually complete. Let's get on with the peripherals. So you will see there's another carbon tube that came with your MiG. That is going to be for your pitot tube. That goes right onto this metal piece sticking out of the front of the fuselage. You just slide the carbon over that and then slide in the pitot tube on the front. Use a little glue if you want to. Then you have your shot cone. That's a plastic piece that goes on the nose of the MiG, that iconic nose of the MiG, and that is a simple screw-on. You just screw that on, but it gets on there nice and firm and looks the part, obviously, of the MiG-21. So after your shot cone, then you have little bits that you can glue around. Like here, you do have to cut in your wing fences. They go right underneath the cockpit, if you will, on the fuselage. You have a few little antennas that you could place on the top and the bottom. Then you go over to your pylons and your drop tanks. The pylons, again, they're going to be a foam-to-foam glue. So you want to score those. I scored both sides. I want to make sure they don't move. So score both sides like you did for the fuselage. Apply glue to one side. Press it where it belongs. And then the drop tanks themselves, once that's all dry, they just attach magnetically. So that's an easy last thing to attach. Alright, so there you have it, guys. That's a step-by-step assembly of this beautiful MiG-21. Now let's go over the features. So there you have it, guys. That's a fully completed MiG-21. She's already been flown by me before I got a chance to come back and wrap up this build video. But right off the bat, beautiful trailing link suspension on the mains. Oleo on the front, really sits nicely. This is a grass capable bird. A lot of guys fly this off of grass. You should have no problem with the big tires, and she has plenty of thrust with the new motor inside. So first things first, let's open the top. I already have her plugged in, but you can see how I managed to get everything installed. So I have the battery where my CG will be. I have my 5000. And then up front, what I like, where that MFCB board is, like I said, it's all up front. So I'm able to put the gyro up front, tucked away. My receiver is out of the way. I could tape off my aerials. And then I use the satellite. I brought it down towards the back part. If I turn, you see it there, Alex. It's on the back, so it's nice out of the way of the battery. I really liked this clean look on the inside. Everything was easy access being up in the front, which is nice. Oh, and that is just me knocking off my drop tank, and that, I could show you real quick, that is just magnetically driven. So once it's on there, it's on there. But I really like that feature on the MiG-2. I flew them. I did the maiden with the drop tanks, had no adverse effects. From what people say, it's good for orientation as well, because it's a type of bird where she'll shrink on you, you know, with that shorter wingspan, at being a Delta. You know, on that. But I love just some of the features in the front. Again, like I said, the shot cone, really nice. This is easy removable. I did not glue the carbon tube, because obviously when you go to transport this plane, I would take that off and I just slip it in here, right in the intake, so it's there for me, or you could put it, you know, inside your canopy. But overall, the features of this jet are absolutely fantastic. So being that I have it plugged in, let's show you the gear. And it's an instantaneous gear, no delay on her. There she goes. Two go in. She's got such a mean looking profile. I mean, it's one of the coolest shots. You're gonna get that iconic nose. Now, as far as the CG goes, guys, they're measuring 265 millimeters from where the wing meets the fuselage. Don't go by this. This is part of the fuselage. Go by where the wing is, and it should put you right in the middle. Dead smack in the middle of this little like bubble here on the fuselage was where I am. Again, make sure you make your measurements and do it right. But that's where I was getting CG, where you saw my battery before. She CG'd beautifully, and you know, I had no adverse effects. Remember, the in-runner is a little heavier than the outrunner was, but the CG point doesn't change. It's just maybe from guys who are flying the original version, their battery might be a little more back. But I think you can play there, because being that this model is a Delta, and we'll show a quick shot here of Patrick high alphaing it, the more back you go, the more you'll be able to play there. But just Be careful with it if you're gonna get to that point. Very slowly inch your battery back. But from the start, if you fly her right where that CG is, you're gonna have no problem like I did. I did put a gyro in just to give me a little extra stability, but now that I'm comfortable with it, I don't even know if I need it, but I like having it in there anyway because it just makes it look nice in the air. Gets all the play out of the wind, you know, on a windier day. But overall, guys, I hope you enjoyed this this build and assembly, guys. Check out the flight video on the MiG, which dropped at the same time as this video. Link will be in the description. We did do a tandem flight where I was flying the new high performance version and Patrick was flying the older version. That's up there. But either way, regardless what you go with, what color scheme you go with, a MiG is a great jet to have in your hangar. This classic jet, I mean, at one point in time, it was one of the most produced jets ever in history. Something like 11,000 were made. The first maiden was 1955, so the fact that 65 years later, 15 countries are still flying the MiG-21 is a testament to just how good and how slick this aircraft was. So guys, that'll do it for me here. If you have any questions, head over into the comment section. Check the links in the description. We have EU links and the US store links to both versions there. If you want to get yourself a MiG, and also we have the link to the Hobby Squawk forum because guys have been talking about their MiGs and customizing these. Prior to the AL-37 or the F-18, this was one of the most customizable aircraft. There's so many liveries that you could do on a MiG-21, and we always love to see people do it. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. Please hit the like button on your way out the door. Always helps. Can't thank you enough for doing that. And stay tuned because more stuff coming to Motion RC YouTube almost every day now. And we'll see you next time on Motion RC.